Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of the NASCAR Heat 5 career mode here on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we go to Talladega for both the Truck Series as well as the Cup Series. Of course, playoff races for both now as we are coming into a very important race, I think, for us on the Cup Series side. Now as this could be a big race. If we get crashed out, we can find ourselves on the outside looking in on the playoff grid as you see the current playoff grid on your screen. So right now we are above the cut line, so it's not like we're in a terrible position, but we're only 11 points to the good, and that is a bit of a concern coming into this race where anything can go wrong. Of course, Las Vegas didn't quite go like we had anticipated, and that has put us in a bit of a uncomfortable position coming into this race, but hopefully we can have a very good run here today in Talladega. But of course, we have the Truck Series race coming up first with, of course, Eric Jones in the number 51 truck for Kyle Busch Motorsports. As per usual at a plate race, well, we were starting at the back of the field here. You can never qualify good, so of course Eric starting at the back here. He was already going like 3 wide nearly into turns 1, but then the 40 of Ross Chastain backed out of it. So Eric in the playoffs here in the Truck Series, as well as Ross Chastain, who is on the outside of Eric on this initial start here in Talladega. So that was a bit of a concern, of course, with the playoff situation. Eric being at the back of the field, how's this going to play out for him? He comes into this race not in a great position, but he's definitely doing solid here in the playoffs now, as he should hopefully be able to make it into that Final Four this season here and get a Truck Series championship as we go down into turn 3. Of course, Eric now in the Cup Series side here again in the career mode, and he will have an announcement coming up soon of where he'll be going in the career mode for the 2021 quote-unquote season here as we go down into turns 1. He finally, after a lap or so, or a lap or two, started to make up a little bit of ground here as he went down into the corner, just continuing to run this bottom lane, but now needing as many points as he can. Points are so important at this point in the season. He's got to be very aggressive. He was right down on that double yellow line there, trying to get as much ground as he could there and just make any move possible that would get him moving forwards here. As of course, he wants to stay though towards that bottom lane if he wants to make up any ground as he goes up the inside there of the 87 through turn 3. So he was definitely just working his way forwards as this race went on. He was actually doing a very solid job working his way through the field now as you see him finally starting to really make up some ground here as he was 3 wide again with that 0-2 truck, but he was just continuing to move forwards. We came through a little bit later in the race, and he was closing in towards the kind of midfield part of the pack as he came through at a turn 2 just behind Angela Rutsch now as he goes down this back stretch, going up the inside of her 3 wide down the back straightaway there with her, as well as Stuart Friesen in the 52 down the back straightaway into turn 3. So just continuing to move his way forwards as we were closing in now on the later stages of this race here in Talladega. Now as he went down the front straightaway, this would be the final lap actually right here in Talladega. He had gotten right to the back of the 2 of Sheldon Creed, now up towards a top 10 position on the final lap. And Talladega very aggressive there as he almost went below the yellow line, but he stayed up on the track and it did not go below the line there as it came through at a turn 2 into the back of the 74 of Mike Harmon as Eric Jones goes down this backstretch, now up inside the top 10 on this final lap in Talladega, up the inside of Harmon into the top 5 even as it goes 3 wide into turns 3. Now he's going to try and get up to the 3rd position as you see the leader of Austin Wayne Self down towards that bottom lane, but the 20 truck of Spencer Boyd all the way to the top. That's going to bring Eric to the inside of 2nd place as he goes down this front straightaway now side by side with Boyd, but Self, he pulls up to the top and now he pulls right to the middle. Nobody can get the draft between Jones and Boyd, so they're going to come through the tri-oval to the line. Austin Wayne Self wins in Talladega. Eric Jones actually gets P2, although it looked like to me the 20 truck of Spencer Boyd actually had that 2nd position. Actually, it was considered a tie there on the timing pretty much. So Eric though gets P2 now as a very good result for us here in the Truck Series with Eric Jones, and this will of course help the points so much more here in the playoff situation. As you'll see the current playoff grid after Talladega for the Truck Series, Eric Jones now finds himself 3 points to the good there. It's only up for a second, but it was 3 points to the good. So we come through, though, to the Cup Series weekend. I didn't even bother running a qualifying lap, of course, so we're just going to jump straight into the race from the back of the field here in Talladega. Now, as you're going to see the current playoff grid coming into today, Jimmy Johnson there locked into the next round with that victory at Las Vegas in the last episode. We are 11 points to the good. William Byron, Joey Logano, Alex Bowman, Kurt Busch are the 4 drivers looking out. Byron only 2 points out, Logano only 8 points out, so they're not out of reach, but they're definitely in need of good runs at a dangerous racetrack here like Talladega Super Speedways. We're ready to get underway here in Talladega as we're going to send it over to our pit reporters of Andrew Wisdom as well as Eddie Shearer.
Gary Owen comes into Talladega above the cut line, and after a rough race at Las Vegas, he said he feels very lucky to still be in it and will be pushing hard enough to be up front today.
Jimmy Johnson comes into Talladega, the only one safe from elimination after his win last week in Las Vegas, so look for him to try to help his teammates of Alex Bowman and William Byron today, as they are both in need of good performances to advance in the playoffs.
All right, there you heard it from our pit reporters now, as we are ready to get going now with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. joining us at the back of the pack, actually, after he crashed during qualifying. So myself and Stenhouse at the back of the field there, as we're starting just behind that 41 of the Stewart-Haas Racing rookie of Cole Custer. Now is ready to take the green flag. Now the second race of the round of 12 is underway, which could be probably the craziest race of the round of 12. Then again, we do have the Charlotte Roval as the cutoff race in the next one. So anything can happen, of course, now as we go down towards turns 1. We got the 32 of Corey LaJoie on the pole. Last time we came to a plate race, Corey LaJoie was actually up in the mix at the Daytona regular season finale, and here he is starting on pole somehow today in that number 32 Mustang as we come through out of turns 2 on this opening lap. Of course, we're just going to stick to the bottom and just try to move our way forwards as quickly as possible, because we only come into this race 11 points above the cut line. We need every single point that we can get, and we're going to be going for every single point we can get as we go down towards turns 3. Alex Bowman behind us now. He comes in below the cut line currently, so he definitely has some work to do if he wants to get himself back inside the playoffs, as well as William Byron, Alex Bowman's Hendrick Motorsports teammate. He's also on the outside of the cut line, only 2 points out there, as Jimmy Johnson is the only Hendrick car right now locked in to the round of 8 in his final season of his Cup Series career, where he's now got 3 wins, where earlier in the season he was like 22nd in the points, and now he finds himself with a chance to potentially fight for a championship now, and another handful of races as we come through turns 1 and 2. Now up inside the top 30 on lap 2. So far the first opening lap went pretty smoothly for us as we get towards the back of the 48 of Jimmy Johnson, who's running that middle to higher lane as he's trying to maybe pull up in front of Logano to stick with his teammate of Chase Elliott, but no, he's going to stay right in the middle behind that 41 of Cole Custer now, as Elliott is actually going to pull in line in front of the 48 of Jimmy Johnson here as we come through turn 3. Elliott got eliminated in that first round of the playoffs, just kind of due to bad luck, unfortunately for him. Now as we came through on lap 3, we were kind of with Chad Fincham, then I got to the inside of him, got past Jimmy Johnson, and now we come through across the line side by side with Chad Fincham here as we go down into turns 1 of the inside of that 8 car of Tyler Reddick now, as Corey LaJoie continues to lead the way through turns 1 and 2 as we're up the inside of our teammate of Martin Truex Jr. There you see the 6 of Ryan Newman, another driver right around that cut line area that is in need of a really good run here as we go down this back straight. And of course we're in need of a good run because we don't want to get eliminated either as we go down into turn 3. We had a rough day in Las Vegas, and we don't need another rough day here in Talladega. We're already up inside the top 20 though, passing Denny Hamlin, our teammate, as I slide up in front of him, and then I see how slow the 10's going, so I go back to the inside here right behind Boyer. Then we actually go up the middle between Boyer and his teammate of Almirola, 3 wide in the middle there, as they were both kind of off the pace right there. So it did not work in my favor though, because now we're stuck in the middle of a 3 wide with 10 laps to go here in the first stage. But thankfully into turns 1 we do clear Eric Almirola, so we now run P16 through turns 1 and turns 2 as the 16 of Justin Haley currently was leading the race at this point as we came through out of turns 2 heading down the backstretch. Still 3 wide in front of us between Chastain, Boyer, as well as Ty Dillon. We came through though towards the end of lap 5, hitting lap 6, still running about P18 area as we went down towards turns 1, just kind of embracing this middle lane here to see what it could do, but then I realized, okay, it's not going to work with Timmy Hill right in front of me, so I dropped back down to the inside to get past him as we come through turns 2, but we're closing in now on a top 15 position as we go down the backstretch. But then I have nobody to draft off of here, and all the, of course, lanes above me were kind of just taken right up. I didn't have a chance to slide in, so now we're dropping down the order as we go down into turn 3, as Chad Fincham's even going to go by here on the outside as we get a push though from Stenhouse, as Custer is able to drop down just in front of me. So now we're going to get that draft back into our favor to try and close in towards the back of the Stewart-Haas driver of Cole Custer. We also get up the inside of Ty Dillon. We're going to take the run, though, right to the outside of the 41 of Custer, 3 wide again as we go down the front stretch. Now 8 laps to go here in stage 1. We pass Ryan Blaney, who was also eliminated earlier in the playoffs in that first round, as well as we come through turns 1, just right on the back of that 77 of Ross Chastain. There you see Matt Kenseth on the far outside. Right now, Chastain's sideways there, and he hangs onto it. We made a little bit of contact with him as well as Cole Custer, but we all keep the cars going in the right direction as it's Custer side by side with Kenseth, but what a save from Ross Chastain. I guess he just got a little bit out of control from my front bumper here as we come through turn 3, passing the 42. Matt Kenseth going to the outside now of the 41 Custer, but right behind us, Kenseth goes spinning through turns 4, contact with the 10 of Almirola. Hamlin gets a bit of a contact as well, as a caution will come out for the first time here in Talladega for the Alabama 500 now, as everybody you see coming to the pit lane, and we're going to follow through as well with 2 cans of fuel and 4 tires. A very easy call to make as we get ready to go green here for the first restart of the day in stage 1. So we gain 2 positions on the pit lane. That moves us up to P14, unfortunately, on the outside, and there's only going to be 4 laps to go in stage 1. So this puts us in a bit of a position where we might not actually be able to get stage points if this outside line doesn't really get rolling well now, as we're right behind the 36 of David Reagan as we go down into turns 1. They're going 3 wide, and then I noticed that right at the last second, the 41 actually has taken me 3 wide as well. Completely caught me off guard and completely messes us over. We now fall outside the top 20 as the 51 of Gates went by. The 47 of Stenhouse did as well. So now I just get in line in front of Ryan Blaney. I slow him up quite considerably, but I did not care because I was doing everything I could to not fall down to like 30th place here as we went down the backstretch into turn 3. So very disappointed with that right there. I mean, Cole Custer just kind of caught me off guard, and it didn't work out in our favor now as we come through turns 3 and out of turns 4. Still losing ground. There's the 1 car of Kurt Busch gets turned back bumper. Kurt Busch comes into this race in about the worst position of the playoff drivers. He's in need of a great run, and here he is in the low 20s, so he is not in a good position at all, to say the least, as we come through to cross the line now as we were 3 wide in between Ryan Blaney as well as the 00 of Quinn Half as we went down into the corner. Only 3 laps remain in stage 1. There's William Byron. He's able to get past me. Then the 3 of Austin Dillon's going to come through on the inside, and everything going wrong right now as we have a good run though down the back straightaway to get to the inside of the 51 as well as the 41 here as we're back into 27th place as we have some help though from the 1 of Kurt Busch as we go down into turn 3 up the inside of the 3 of Austin Dillon, approaching at this point just 2 laps to go in the first stage, and you can clearly see we're going to need a lot of help now as we're going to exit turns 4. They're 3 by 3 up ahead now as we're up the inside, 3 wide in the middle again between Stenhouse as well as the Hendrick driver of William Byron, who as well, like we said, comes into this first stage 2 points out of the cut line right now, so he definitely has some work to do as we hit 2 laps to go right behind that 17. Not in a great position now as they're going to be 4 wide, multiple lanes deep in front of us through turns 1 and turns 2. You don't see this very often, to be honest, here in plate racing in the game, but here they are, 4 by 4 by 4s. There's smoke coming from somebody here as we go down the backstretch. I go 3 wide in the middle as there's 4 wide still as a caution comes out due to that smoking car, and now that will end the stage. Unfortunately, P22 for us now, as I still actually have no idea who brought out that caution. I could not tell whose car was smoking, but either way, we would come to the pit lane here for 2 cans of fuel, as well as we're going to throw another 4 fresh tires on the car for the restart. I'm not going to lie, guys, I thought they were going to wreck there. That was pretty intense, but yeah, not a great stage for us. We'll have to work on that. So there you heard the radio transmission from myself now as we're ready to go green for the start of the second stage, which is now underway here in Talladega. So no stage points for us, but as well as some of our contenders got no stage points. So you're going to see the playoff grid at the end of the first stage here come up on your screen right now. There, as you see, we are still 11 points to the good. We actually didn't lose anything, so surprisingly we're in decent shape. But Ryan Newman, he's 2 points to the good. Byron 2 points out, so not really much of a shakeup here, as not a lot of playoff drivers managed to get any stage points, so that really helps us, of course, now, as we don't have to worry too much. So we gave away a good chance in stage 1, and we lost nothing out of it, so that's certainly a confidence booster now as we go down towards turn 3. Christopher Bell, our affiliate teammate in that 95 car, leads the field over Eric Jones in the 73 car as he was able to come back to the 73, back into the Cup Series past the midway point of the season, and of course is not in a very fast car, but still has a chance to run well at a track like Talladega. And here he is up there in the 2nd position right now as Eric Jones. I can't confirm, I can't say where he's going yet here in the career mode, but it will be in a car that's competitive now, at least as we go down into turns 1 up the inside of the 7-time champion and Jimmy Johnson. I thought about letting Johnson in line right there, but I was like, you know what, Jimmy just won at Las Vegas, he's locked in, we don't really need to do him any favors. But then we have no help in front of us, but we do have some help from the 00 of Quinn Half just behind us here as we go down this backstretch, trying to get right to the back of the 48, who would get clear of me and actually drop down. So I just decided to follow Jimmy Johnson a little bit here as we came through to lap 3. Now up inside though the top 10 of this race here in Talladega, but I get a run there from a push from the 32 of Corey LaJoie. So I take that run to the inside of Jimmy Johnson as we go down into turn 3. Some great plate racing so far here in Talladega. Now, as you saw at the end of stage 1, there were 4x4x4. It was crazy, and here we are at the front with some great racing again as Eric Jones finds himself side by side with Tyler Reddick for the lead now on lap 4 as I got to the back of the 9 of Chase Elliott and decided, you know what, we're just going to kind of stick in line here and see what we can do. As I got to the back of the 9 car and almost turned him now, as I did turn the actual stability down a bit for the AI drivers at Talladega here as we go down the front straightaway. 10 laps to go in stage 2 now as there was some contact behind Butcher. He went sideways, saved it as they were still side by side between Jones and Reddick for the lead now as we came through though down the back straightaway on lap 5, still connected with Chase Elliott here as he was a draft partner. He sneaks up the inside now of Tyler Reddick as we go down into turn 3. Eric Jones, he's not actually going to come down and protect it, so we're going to push Chase Elliott to the lead as we're 4 wide for second place for a moment now as they continued 4 wide behind us as Reddick was falling down the order as we come through out of turns 4 behind Elliott, now trying to move into P2 and potentially move into the lead. And now as we're going to make a move up the inside of Chase Elliott through the tri-oval, he's going to come through to potentially lead the lap. Yes, he does lead the lap, but we have help from the 32 of Corey LaJoie as we dive down into turns 1. Some great action here in Talladega now as we pass Chase Elliott and take over the lead now in the Alabama 500 as now we try to hang on to the lead as long as we can here as we exit turns 2. LaJoie right on my back bumper now as he actually disconnects though down the back straightaway, and that's going to leave the door open for both of them now as Boyer has a pretty significant run on the back of us now as we go down into turn 3, but we managed it through the corner, but we came through out of turns 4. A huge run from the 14. I tried to protect it, but I pulled out at the last second because I thought that it was just not going to work, so I decided to give him the room. He's going to come through to now pass us at the line. There's that throw, a late block on the 32 of LaJoie who had a run. I didn't even realize he was coming to the last second, and then we got down in front of him, but Boyer gets clear, and now Elliott gets alongside the 14 for the lead. Now Boyer in his final race at Talladega before he retires later this season, but we go to the inside of him again down the back straightaway now on lap 7, and we try to retake the lead from the Stewart-Haas veteran. 3 wide behind us between LaJoie, Custer, and Elliott now as we have help from behind of LaJoie, but no, he actually gets held back from the side draft as they continue 3 wide behind us now as I'm side drafting myself here right on the 14 all the way up almost to the wall. The 9's going to get right to the back of us. He gives us a push. We're now 3 wide for the lead now with help from Chase Elliott. LaJoie leads the lap here as they're 3x3x3 again behind us as we go down into turns 1. I did not know what in the world was with the AI this race, but they were not holding back now as I continued to lap 8 of the stage where we actually get hung out by the 9 of Chase Elliott as we came through to cross the line. So now we drift back a little bit here to the 6th position as I do have a big push though from behind from the 17 of Busher, and that actually allows me to get to the inside. Now we come through the center of the corner with such a huge run that I take it right to the outside. That would carry me to the back of LaJoie, and I had such a big run on him that I take it right to the middle right off the bat now, coming to just 5 laps to go in the second stage now as Truex is going to jump up in front of us as we come through turn 3 wide in the middle again, but we clear the 32. I could have jumped down to the bottom, but I wanted to see what we could do with our teammate here of Martin Truex Jr. now as they're still going crazy behind us now as we go down this front stretch. Logano out front, but then no, he would get up to the top and we would actually go around him on the outside. I decided, you know what, I'm just going to follow Truex, and I was very surprised to see such an aggressive move by our Joe Gibbs Racing teammate, but of course it works now as Logano fades all the way outside the top 5 now as we went down the backstretch. So we came through now on lap 11 of 14 in the stage. Of course, being on this top lane, we usually drift back a bit, and that was happening here as we went down into turn 3. Now we force the 37 out of line. We go in between them 3 wide once again. We pass the 37 of Priest, and we stay inside the top 10, of course, trying to hang on to stage points, but then we have green flag pit stops happening now. So now we had to get ready to come into the pit lane, which I had completely forgotten about because just everything was so wild. And then I realized we got to get down to the bottom lane now with 3 laps to go in the stage and 2 laps to field. So we got to get down to the bottom as quickly as we can. And fortunately for us, into turn 3, we get down to the bottom lane just behind the 2 of Brad Keselowski here. As you can definitely tell that a bunch of drivers are pitting right here as we exit turn 4. Truex stays out along with Boyer in the 38, and we completely destroy these drivers into the pit lane. But then no, I go in way too fast, and we get a speeding penalty here in Talladega, so I have to make a very quick call to only take half a can of fuel instead of put 4 tires on the car and 2 cans of fuel like the AI well. So I decided only half a can, so that way we get out still in 18 seconds, and we actually are going to come out here still with the 22, the 16, and whatnot. There was actually some pretty bad pit stops behind us, so it really worked out actually in our favor there as we got very lucky that we don't have to do drive-through penalties, because that would have completely destroyed destroyed us now as we exit the pit lane, and we still had some drivers staying out. The 66 of Timmy Hill was leading the race coming to the final lap of the second stage now, as this has just been a chaotic race so far now as we came through, though, down the front straightaway. I had help from Byron and Blaney to get me to the back here of Haley and Logano coming to the white flag now in stage 2. Logano leads this little group of cars, but we're outside of the top 10, which is a bit of a concern, as Martin Truex Jr. is leading the way down the front straightaway trying to win the stage, but he actually is going to come into the pit lane, as you can see by the track map, so he's going to give away the stage victory, and he's actually going to have a bunch of drivers follow him in, except for Jimmy Johnson, who's going to come through to win the stage as we continue to get pushed from William Byron, as well as Blaney, a train right here on past the 22 of Logano, but Jimmy Johnson actually wins stage 2. Very lucky stage victory, as I think he was actually out of field coming across the line. He was so slow. As we continue in this 3-car trio between myself, Byron, and Blaney now as we go down this front straightaway, trying to get Logano there and Haley, but we come through the tri-oval. It's not going to be enough, but there's still cars on the pit lane, so all of a sudden we're up to P5, P4 even, as we come through to cross the line to get P4 in stage 2, as Haley was barely able to hang on there, as we all of a sudden come out of here with 7 points. We had a speeding penalty just a few moments ago, and somehow we get a top 10 out of that second stage. I do not have any explanation on how we managed to pull all of that off. How in the world did we just get stage points out of that, guys? I don't know, but yeah, I mean, honestly, I'll take anything at this point. So there you heard the radio transmission from myself at the end of the second stage. Of course, unfortunately, we have to come to the pit lane because we have no fuel left in the car. So we give up 15 positions because of that, and we find ourselves now down in the 19th position for the start of this third and final stage in what has been a wild, exciting Talladega race so far, to say the least. Perfect timing for a wild playoff race. We love playoff races that are crazy, and we are getting that here in Talladega today for the Alabama 500. But now only 15 laps remain. Will it stay green to the end? If it does, we will get a green flag pit stop like we did there in stage 2, but all of a sudden I just had no speed right there on the restart. Johnson is able to stay way out ahead of me as we find ourselves in P20 as we come through out of turns 2 now, as we're going to get a live look though at the playoff grid coming into the second stage, or sorry, at the end of the second stage coming into this third and final stage. So we managed to get a buffer above that cut line now, as we are 15 points above the line. So we gained a few points. Logano, Newman, Bowman, Kurt Busch, now out. Byron finds himself in by 3 points. Harvick in by 20, Truex 35, Keselowski 39, and then Kyle Busch and Hamlin, they are in by over 50 points now as we come through the tri-oval, coming to 14 laps to go in this race here in Talladega, just behind Joey Logano, who surprisingly is in not a good position here in the playoffs, which really surprises me. I thought he was an easy driver to consider for that round of 8, but obviously I'm being proven completely wrong now as we pass the 73 and the 17 of Jones as well as Buescher as we come through out of turn 2 up to the inside of our teammate Martin Truex Jr. now with help from behind of the 24 again of William Byron, but no, he jumps in line behind Truex, as now once again I'm in that situation where I have no help here in front of me. So thankfully we get a little bit fortunate and are able to slide right in behind the 22 here of Joey Logano. Now we find ourselves in the top 15 as this third stage continues on. We come through now to lap 35 up the inside of the 7-time champion of Jimmy Johnson, who tries to make it 8 this season, as we come through now up inside the top 10 with 13 laps to go. Just doing what I can to just kind of maintain on this inside lane and move forwards towards the front now as we come through now to the right side, actually, though, the 22 of Logano, and then we get to the back of Stenhouse. I had a chance, and then, of course, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., of all people, had to be the one to come up in front of me and ruin the run that we had. So now we're stuck behind him, and now decide to kind of push him up a bit, and then we're going to drift right back to the inside and leave him hanging out now as they go 3 by 3 behind us again now, as Christopher Bell leads the way. Bubba Wallace up in the mix, Ryan Newman, Eric Almirola. Ryan Newman has just kind of snuck his way in to these rounds of the playoffs. He just kind of continues to be very quietly consistent enough to advance, and we pass Christopher Bell, and now all of a sudden we were up into P3 behind Newman. Bubba Wallace leading the way there as I go to the right side of Ryan Newman, approaching 10 laps to go here in Talladega now, as I'm going to have help from Eric Almirola, but I see this outside lane is going to go nowhere. So now I'm going to drop down in front of that 00 of Quinn Half as we came through turns 3 and 4. So we came through through now on lap 38. 10 laps to go. I try to now drift up again through turn 2 to maybe make a move, but it's not going to work. There's the 11. Goes spinning Denny Hamlin right in front of the field. Contact with, I think, Logano, and now he goes flipping there through turns 2 and up and over. Denny Hamlin goes. Our teammates involved as well as Kyle Busch. He was involved, another teammate of ours, as that was a huge crash for Denny Hamlin, a violent impact, and that was, of course, not what you like to see, as this is going to force a late race restart here in Talladega, where I was debating between 2 tires and 4 tires, but I looked at the condition and they were relatively similar, so I decided to do 4 tires and 1 can of fuel. But before we get going for what could be this final restart, just a quick look. The next race will be going to the Charlotte Roval, an elimination race here for the round of 12, so stay tuned for that one, as we never know what's going to happen in the Charlotte Roval. But unfortunately, we lost 18 positions on the pit stop, so clearly we should have taken 2 tires. And now for the final stretch of this race here in Talladega, we're going to have to give it everything we got, because it's going to leave us now just 7 laps to go here in the Alabama 500. Not the position, of course, that we want to be in. We have Eric Jones just behind us here as we go down towards turns 1. Matt Kenseth, as you see, up on the outside. But what a wild crash that was for Denny Hamlin, and he somehow finds himself in the race still at the very back of the field. Bubba Wallace, though, leads away as you see me being aggressive right off the bat. 3 wide up the inside of Joey Gases. They're already going 3 by 3 by 3 again here as we go down this backstretch at Talladega. Daniel Suarez at the very back of the field right now, as we know he's going to be moving to Trackhouse in the career mode next season. As we go down towards turn 3, Chase Elliott just behind us now on that right side, and then Jones, of course, tucked in line right behind us as we come through turns 3, right to the back of Gase there in that 51 car, giving him a little bit of a bump now as we came through down the front straightaway, hitting 6 laps to go, being aggressive, going up the inside here as we're going to make it 4 wide through turns 1. We got to give it everything we can, because every single point at this point is huge for us, especially after a rough race in Las Vegas. Now as we come through out of turns 2, Jones closing in on the back of us is going to give us a push down the straightaway as we're just behind that 42 of Kenseth. Unfortunately, we couldn't make anything happen until turn 3. We get very aggressive there and get in between the yellow line and Kenseth and make another 4 wide, I think that was, move work, and we just continue moving our way through the field here on the bottom. Now 5 laps to go there, as I didn't push the issue too much on Tyler Reddick, as I realized we're in a decent position. We don't need to risk anything too much, but we still need to be aggressive now, as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was leading this race over second place of Cole Custer. You see 3 wide in front of us there for a moment there as there's contact made between Bubba Wallace, as we get a big push from Eric Jones. The 8 car a little bit sideways. He saves it, but we get a huge hit from the 73 of Eric Jones, and that really helps us as there are 4 wide again in front of us. Johnson on the bottom, and I get tucked in behind the 7-time champion of Jimmy Johnson, and I say, you know what, maybe myself and Jimmy can work our way to the front here. We picked up Jimmy as a draft partner, so now with 4 laps to go, time running out here in Talladega, but we find ourselves both in the top 10. Bowman up there in second place. He came in below the cut line, but now is having a great run here in the third and final stages. We're 3 wide with that 00, as well as the 41 of Half, and Custer now is there going to be 3 wide in front of us now as we kind of backed out of it, but we continue. Following the 48 is now Bowman went all the way to the top for some reason and completely gave away his chance at victory now, as the way this race is with the AI being so crazy, Bowman's got no chance to get back in line, and he just drifted all the way down the field as we continue to push Jimmy Johnson to the inside of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Surprised Stenhouse didn't try to throw a huge block and wreck the field on Jimmy Johnson now as we came through to cross the line. 3 laps to go here in the Alabama 500 at Talladega Super Speedway. We push the 7-time champion and Jimmy Johnson out to the front. Eric Jones just behind us, as well as myself, Johnson, Jones, all draft partners, but now we slide up in front of Stenhouse, so we're going to pick him up here as we go down the back straightaway now, so he's going to follow me. I still want to win this race. Jimmy Johnson, he's locked into the next round, so I'm not trying to help him win this race now as we approach 2 laps to go here in Talladega. We drift up the track here as we go down into turn 3, right to the back of the 48 now, as I nearly hit him in the left rear. That could have went very bad, very quick now as we come through out of turns 4. Jones closing in quickly. Of course, I want to make a move to the inside, not the outside, so I try to time it right, and we get to the inside now of Jimmy Johnson into the tri-oval, but now we try to side draft him through the tri-oval. We managed to make it work now as we get through. We get hit there by the 73. It actually moves us up the track instead, so we can't cover him off. So now we're going to be 3 wide for the leaders. We have a huge push from Matt Kenseth through turns 1, and now we're back side by side with Jones. Johnson now as we actually go up towards the wall there as we come through out of turns 2. Now as Johnson is in the wall as well. there was contact with Eric Jones, which is why I actually went up the track like that. Now as we go down this back straightaway, pushing Kenseth, we're 3 wide in front of us there between him, Elliott. Now as we're going to get up the inside there, Johnson pushing us, Kenseth sideways, he hangs onto it. Now as Eric Jones leads away as we are coming towards the final lap here in Talladega's 3 wide. Again, Austin Dillon to the inside of Eric Jones for the lead now as we need help from Jimmy if we're going to make it work from the top now as we come through the triangle. Jones protecting the top, but now Austin Dillon coming to the front as we're going to get a big push from behind now. Dillon to the front. We're 4 wide here for second place as we go down into turns 1. A huge push from the 48 of Jimmy Johnson as we come through turns 1 and 2. We're going to drift down the track side by side with McDowell. There's contact now as we go up the track through turns 1, and now I see there's no chance we're getting back in line after that, and Jimmy Johnson behind us is 4 wide with Chad Fincham. He's getting crowded into the wall, going to the bank very quickly, as well are we now as the points are fading here as we go down into turn 3. We've just given away probably 10 to 15 points at the absolute least as we finally get back down in line here on the final lap in the Alabama 500. What a crazy race it has been here in Talladega, and Austin Dillon leads the way into the triangle over second place of Chase Elliott through the triangle for the final time, side drafting Suarez, but Austin Dillon wins Talladega. We come through to finish in the 21st position here at an absolutely wild Talladega race. Now I cannot believe how just crazy that was, and I cannot believe that we just managed to go from what, 2nd to 21st in a span of 1 lap without actually crashing the car. So that's disappointing because that really could hurt us in the points. But you see, the competitors that we actually had to beat finished below us, so somehow we finished 21st, and I think we're actually going to gain points here as Austin Dillon picks up his first win of the season. As you see, we did gain points. We're actually 19 points above the cut line, but we are the last car in. So if one of those drivers wins at the Roval below us, then we're going to be in a bit of trouble now. So we have a post-race interview here to do, though, with Jay Cook before we head to the main menu.
A wild last lap had Gary Owen go from leading the race to finishing 21st. But somehow, Gary, you increased the gap over the cut line. Does this change your mindset for the Roval?
For sure, yeah. I mean, we can be a little bit more defensive there instead of having to be on the attack the whole time, which is, I mean, the one good thing to look at. But I don't know what happened on the last lap. We made contact there with McDowell. We had a chance to win. Now, as like I said, we just made contact with him, so I'm not quite sure what happened. I see you have the replay there on the screen there. Oh, yeah, I mean, it just looks like he kind of came up into us there through turns 1 and 2, which is a little bit unfortunate. But, I mean, nothing we can really do about it. I don't think he meant to do it. But I thought I came down on him. But, I mean, it's pretty evident that he actually came up. So that makes me feel a little bit better, to be honest. But, yeah, we're going to the Roval, see what we can do. We don't have to be as aggressive as I originally thought we were going to have to be, though. So that's something that definitely boosts confidence. So we'll see what we can do. All right, there you had the post-race interview with myself and Jay Cook. But there you saw the replay. So actually, McDowell actually came up into me, which surprised me. I thought I came down into him just making a racing mistake, but no, he came up. So it showed that there on the replay, which, like I said, definitely surprised me, but made me feel a little bit better now as we gave away a good chance to maybe get the win. It was so wild there at the end, though. I really don't know where we would have came out of that now, as we could have probably ignited a big crash too. It was wild to say the least. And there you see the playoff grids on your screen. So we are not going to have a truck race in the next episode. It's going to be an Xfinity Series race. The next truck race will actually be the Final Four decider. But of course, we have a big race at the Charlotte Roval in the next one for the Cup Series, where we go in above the cut line somehow, as well as you see Eric Jones goes into the Roval in the Xfinity Series side above the cut line. But there we are now, 19 points above the cut line. But if one of those 4 drivers below us manages to win the race, then it becomes a race between myself, William Byron, Martin Truex Jr., and even Brad Keselowski. So it could get very interesting. Hopefully, I don't think any of those bottom 4 are going to win. Maybe Bowman has a chance. We'll see what happens, though, in the next one. As always, if you guys enjoyed, you know what to do, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch it, and I'll see you guys at the Roval. Have a great day, everybody.